Welcome back, everyone. Week 2 of Futurama Mondays here at the Beer Thrillers office, and we're going to now cover episode 2 of season 11, Children of a Lesser Bog.
Neat.
But first, before we begin, we gotta crack open a beer and enjoy ourselves. Today's beer we're gonna start with is Stay on Target, a Star Wars themed beer. It's an English style IPA by Allusion Brewing Company out in Vandergrift, Pennsylvania. They actually won our 2023 Battle of the Breweries. We were just out that way last Saturday. Vandergrift is just outside of Pittsburgh. Definitely recommend giving them a stop. Great people, great beers. And we're set to go now. Cheers, everyone. We can do some reviewing now. So let's dive right into it. This is an episode 20 years in the making. It was season 4, would have been 2003, when they aired the episode where Kif gets knocked up a notch. And in that episode, he gets knocked up by technically Leela via Amy, and they have children. In the episode, they even mentioned that in 20 years from now, the children will be, hatched and walk up on land and all that stuff. So, luckily enough, with the reboot, we find ourselves 20 years later. So, thankfully, they're covering it. This is one of probably the 2 episode titles I'm most looking forward to this season. This, and then the Parasites Regained. And I would say this is probably popular opinion on the internet, is like these 2 episode titles were the ones most anticipated, most thought about, and we have kind of an idea about what they're going to be about, and that's probably why there's the most anticipation for them. This is a good episode. Better than, I think, The Impossible Stream. I don't think quite touching, like, original Fox run, but definitely better than most of the Comedy Central run. There's a lot of good in it. There's some bad, things. It's not a perfect episode by any stretch of the imagination. The little startup bit with the honey candy and Fry, and then that being the segue into Amy explaining things. So, Amy's explanation is kind of partly because of a little bit of the Hulu directive towards the Futurama writing crew. This is something I've kind of read about and learned today about, this episode and Hulu and Futurama as a whole for the upcoming season. Hulu kind of has the mission statement that you didn't need to watch the entire run or even the previous episodes of Futurama and still enjoy the show. So for a callback episode like this, and like the upcoming episode, Parasites Regained, there is going to probably be a connecting dots, a segue, a previously on type of thing. And in this episode, I felt it wasn't done well. I thought Leela was not portrayed well in this episode for the most part. I also thought Amy and Kif having to do hey, remember how we went to my homeworld and gave birth? Bender, everyone, you were all there. And they all act like they didn't know or remember. And Leela acts like she's drunk, or was drunk. It all rings very out of place. Like, it's you can tell there's like this reason from out of the universe context for why they would be doing this. Even 20 years later, I would know if I went to another planet and witnessed a green squishy alien giving birth to squishy baby things. So that's kind of an annoying part about this episode, is this way of Leela, Tiff, and all them and Amy kind of getting to the reason for the episode, when they could have just gotten there more naturally, probably. I think the episode is still fine. The kids part is not actually probably where I was really thinking they were going to go. I expected this route of like, oh, here's like 4,000 kids, and they're all baby, tadpole-y, kind of getting their things. Instead, we get 3 babies, varying heights, growth stages. You have little Newt, you have Mandy, and then Axel. Obviously, he's like a grungy, teenage, angsty Axel, like Guns N' Roses. You have Mandy, which maybe there's a reference in that somewhere, but it's a middle-aged, like 8, 6, little girl. And then you have like little baby, little Newt. Because Newt's amphibians, the jokes in the episode are fine for the most part. Nothing's crazy. I thought when they do the winnowing stage, where like most of the babies are eaten, the gag of like Zoidberg popping up to eat 1 or 2 is pretty funny. The teeth thing with Amy was a little cringe, because I just never find like people getting their teeth knocked out like very funny for the most part. I don't know, it's just kind of a weird juxtaposition, because then like 5 minutes later, like the tooth's fine and looking normal. I mean, that's what it is for animated shows, though. The Schmizmar, like midwife lady, and all of that stuff is okay. She seems pretty much the same as the last time they used her. Jokes kind of ring the same. I did enjoy Leo Wong like walking up with like a wad of money and just ringing out for a few coins falling to her tip jar, basket, whatever. I thought that was pretty funny. The Zap stuff was decently funny. I think Zap was a little overplayed, a little overused. I definitely enjoyed seeing the marine biologist, the whale biologist, come back, and he's now like a bear biologist, and them using tardigrades. I thought was pretty funny. Overall, I enjoyed the episode. I enjoyed it better than the Impossible Stream. I would say this is more hopeful I am for this Hulu run than I was for the Comedy Central run after the first episode or 2 of that one. That in the Garden of Eden like episode, and the censorship episode and having the rebirth episode right at the start, none of them really hit for me. Whereas Impossible Stream didn't majorly hit for me, but it felt closer to home. This one also feels closer to home. It has still that, like, you get that nice, they understand their characters for the most part, other than like the Leela thing, which I feel like is the Hulu hand playing in. But you get this grasp that they know what they want to do with them. There's still that heartfeltness to it, with like the ending with Amy always going to be the mom. And I'm assuming the babies are going to take a backseat, like Dwight and Qbert and stuff like that. There'll be in an episode here too. It is a little bit of a shake-up that there's now more characters, more people, but I just don't think they'll be massively used. It's not going to be a massive paradigm shift like Leela and Fry finally being together. I think there's a lot to be happy for going forward. Like, they know what they want to do. It seems like they have found their footing a little bit better, I think, than they did in the Comedy Central run. I think, like, the elephant in the room that everyone talks about online now is Billy West and his voice. And, I mean, it's 10 years later. Dude's 10 years older. We get it. People age, their voice is going to be a little bit different. I don't think. I mean, it's noticeable in the ear. You hear it, but it's not that jarring that it's like, oh my god, is that a different character? I mean, it's even in real life. Then we can think of that Fry is like 20 years older, 10 years older. Like he's gonna be a little raspier or a little more darker voice. Like it's not a huge difference. It's not. Leah Wan being revoiced or recast, whatever the terminology is not a major difference for me either. For like a character that's tertiary, I mean, we all dealt with this stuff in multiple other things. Look at Game of Thrones recasting a character completely. Marvel Universe doing it with Rhodey. I mean, it's not that big of a deal. And if that's your deal breaker on an animated show, then I guess there's probably bigger issues than anything else. I did greatly enjoy the episode, in that like I said, I have good hopes going forward. Next episode, they've shown a fair bit in the trailers with like the Wild West theme stuff. It might be a little bit too topical though, since it's about like Bitcoin and like cryptocurrency stuff, but I think generally speaking it's gonna play well. The jokes look funny, and the jokes felt funny. The animation looked good from what I had seen in the trailers of the upcoming episode. And then the recap to that's gonna be the Parasites Regained, which if they don't knock that one out of the park, then there's some concern, because that should be almost like a slam dunk, like we got this, everyone's gonna love it, all right there. We'll see though. I mean, on a whole, if I gave last week's episode like a 6.5, this one's definitely a high 7, probably an 8. I mean, it's not going to be a 10. It probably won't be a 10 this season. It's not going to be like a Meanwhile, Devil's Hands Are Idle Playthings, The Late Philip J. Fry, Luck of the Fryish. Those are like some of those episodes, like Farnsworth's Parabox. Like, those are the episodes that are like 10s for me. Like, no matter what, I'm going to be watching, like, glued. Even Jurassic Park. Don't tell people, though. I love that episode. But thank you for watching. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for enjoying and indulging me in discussing the episode. We'll be back next week. There'll be a new beer review or something similar. A beer review. And then I'll have another YouTube article, video for you all to watch next week. So until then, make sure to check out the blog. I'll have like the comments, the address in the comments and everything. And yeah, cheers everyone.